breaking down the Vikings from the perspective of a former NFL General Manager of the Year. It's Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, presented by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
Welcome to Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Vikings season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers in the 24 GMC Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. I'm Jeff Diamond, former Vikings GM, former Tennessee Titans president. Our producer is Sam Bird. Does a great job putting our show together. We wish everybody Happy New Year. And what a start to 2025, Sam,
yes,
with this epic game on Sunday night, prime time, game of the year in the NFL, Vikings and Lions for the NFC North title, for the number one seed, for home field advantage, for the first round bye, for the whole deal.
Yep. I think, who would have thought this would be the case, right? Here we are the first week of January, but this is, somewhere in New York, the NFL league office is really, really happy with themselves for making this the week 18 matchup, because this is the kind of game that, there's a reason that none of the week 18 games get scheduled. It's all TBD because they want to see how playoff scenarios shake out. And who would have ever thought this would be the biggest possible playoff scenario? Two of the most winningest teams to ever play in week 18. I'm beyond pumped for this. I know you are too.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fantastic. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, highly entertaining game. You've got two teams that have a combined 13 Pro Bowl selections that were announced today.
Yes.
And the Vikings with 6 players making it to the Pro Bowl. We'll kind of go through that list here. Of course, Justin Jefferson makes it for his 4th time. You've got Andrew DePaulo for his 3rd time, and then 4 first-time Pro Bowlers and well-deserved quarterback Sam Darnold made the Pro Bowl. I thought it might be a little questionable. He deserves it, but he is in. He and Jared Goff make it, and can't remember who the 3rd guy was.
They have.
Who cares?
Yes.
Anyway, the Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel both make it as the outside linebacker edge rushers, which is fantastic that 2 guys from one team both get selected. And again, it's their first time going. And Byron Murphy gets his first Pro Bowl selection, having an excellent season, 6 interceptions, 14 passes defensed. He's a potential free agent, going to be costly to re-sign Byron Murphy, but he's one of those key guys in that secondary, certainly, and he's going to have a challenge on his hands on Sunday night against that prolific Lions offense. But congratulations to those Vikings players. It's a reflection when the Pro Bowl team's announced, and we know the Pro Bowl is not what it was in terms of a game, but it's still an honor. And believe me, from my work in the agent world, it's important for contracts that if a player is a Pro Bowl player, that definitely helps their cause. And so you look at, as we said, Murphy's the guy who's really going to capitalize on it this year. But back to the business at hand, Sunday night, Vikings and Lions. 2 teams, the most wins ever meeting in a regular season NFL game, 28 wins between them. Previous high was 25, so they've shattered that. Sam Darnold has 13 100-plus passing yard or passer ratings this year. He's going to try to tie Aaron Rodgers for the record at 14.
Wow.
There's just Vikings, again, trying to get their 15th win, which would equal the 1998 team for most regular season wins in team history. But above and beyond everything else, the most critical thing is to get that number one seed, that first-round bye, have a chance to rest your players who have been through a long season, also have home field advantage. I think it's huge, and I think it's become even more important potentially with what the Rams are doing, which Sean McVay announced that Matthew Stafford's going to sit against Seattle. All of a sudden, Seattle jumped to a 6.5-point favorite after that move.
Right.
So that could easily drop the Rams to number 4. So whoever loses between the Vikings and Lions are going to drop to number 5, which I don't think is fair in the first place. I think the team with the better record should be the home team. But the Vikings could easily, if they get beat, and if Tampa Bay wins over New Orleans, which is expected, and the Rams get beat by Seattle in that case, Rams are number 4. Vikings go to the Rams, where they got beat in October. But we also know that game was on a short week, 4-day rest after playing a very physical game with the Lions. Vikings had the bad missed face mask call that could have changed the game late in the game, where Darnold was hit with a safety. So it would be an exciting game. But again, I think everybody here in Minnesota would rather see the Vikings have a week off, have every game at home with that great home field advantage, and then take on maybe the Rams, or who knows, could be the Packers coming back. It could be anybody at that stage of the game. But if Detroit wins and the other 2 home teams win, then Detroit comes back. That's exactly right.
So it comes back to US Bank Stadium. There's so many different possibilities.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's going to be very interesting, see how it plays out. But meanwhile, as we said, looking ahead to this great matchup with the Vikings and the Lions, so many great storylines. The Lions' injury problems on defense, missing their top pass rushers, Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil. They do have Zadarius Smith, former Viking there. Looks like Alex Anzalone, their starting middle linebacker, is going to come back for this game. That's not necessarily good news for the Vikings. He's a good player, good cover linebacker, but it will be his first game in a month that he's missed.
Right.
And best corner from Tampa Bay via free agency, Carlton Davis is out with a fractured jaw. That Lions secondary, very susceptible, especially the corners. Now, they have a couple great, really good safeties in Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, but the corners are very beatable. Just on Monday night, the Rams put up 475 yards and 34 points on this Lions defense that has given up now 30-plus in 3 of the last 4 games. The Lions won that game because they put 40 up on San Francisco.
Right.
And I could see that kind of very high-scoring game unfolding. But again, 49ers didn't have Christian McCaffrey, didn't have Brandon Ayuk, didn't have Trent Williams, and they still put up 34 and 475 yards. If Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson, Aaron Jones, offensive line, if they're on their game and they can handle the crowd noise, handle that defense, it could be a tremendous night for the Vikings, but we will see. So let's hear from some of the particulars involved with this matchup and start with the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell, from his press conference this week.
Yeah, I thought it was an incredibly physical game, to both teams' philosophical beliefs of how they want to play it. It was physical, and I thought looking at it in the second half, it was a classic game where the Lions are playing really well, and then a couple turnovers happen, and they're able to distance themselves, and that formula's played over a lot. And I think the turnover margin is going to be a huge number. It always is, but you go on the road to an environment like this, and you give them the momentum of the football, unexpectedly. That could be a huge momentum turning play, and vice versa. It works both ways for you when you can force them. So I think that was the one thing I took out of it, is just, kind of a back and forth kind of game, but one play here or there, and good football teams capitalize on it and win.
Kevin is talking about the Lions 49ers game, not the last Lions Vikings game.
Right.
That also was very close and had some key turnovers in that game. The turnover ratio is going to be very big in this game. As he mentioned, Vikings are plus 10 on the season, tied for first in takeaways, lead the league in interceptions. The Lions are plus 11. Also a very opportunistic team, even after all their injury problems. Last time the two teams met, back October 20th, it was week 7, and the Vikings got in control of the game late, had a chance to put it away with about 3 minutes to go, and as we may recall, Darnold couldn't connect with Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison was a little too close on that route, and it was an incomplete pass. Lions got the ball back. Goff drives it down the field, and Jake Bates kicks the winning 44-yard field goal. It was the Vikings' first loss of the season. They were 5-0 going into that game. Detroit came out of that game 5-1, but with that head-to-head advantage. You look at some of the stats from that matchup. Darnold, stats were very close. Darnold threw for 259, a touchdown, 1 interception. Goff threw for 280, 22 of 25, though his completion percentage. Vikings got it. Put some more pressure on him. He was sacked 4 times in the game, but did throw 2 touchdown passes, had a 140 rating. St. Brown, 8 for 112 in that game. Going to have to do a better job on him. They did kind of shut down Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams, their other 2 big targets. Only 1 catch each for those guys. And Jalen Naylor had a good game, 76 yards receiving. Jordan Addison, 66 yards receiving. Aaron Jones had a nice day running the ball, 14 for 93 yards, a 34-yard touchdown. So the running game, again, is going to be big. And one of the big problems the Vikings had in the last meeting was Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is a terrific player. He is just so explosive out there, running and passing. They're not going to have David Montgomery, so Gibbs takes on the bigger load. But he had 116 yards on 15 carries against the Vikings last time, 7.7 average, 2 touchdowns. That was a big difference in the game, too. So I expect a really exciting game. I think one of the biggest matchups to watch for everybody will be the Lions trying to run the ball. And they've got the 6th-ranked rushing attack going against the Vikings' 2nd-ranked rushing defense that did a good job on Josh Jacobs last week of the Packers. They struggled a little bit against Arizona and Atlanta, but have kind of rebounded. That's going to be a key area. And then, of course, putting pressure on Goff is really key. He's only been sacked 29 times this year, 6th fewest in the league. But there have been games where he has turned it over, not very often, because he does rank 2nd in the league with a 113.6 passer rating. Darnold right behind him at 4th with a 106.4. Yeah. And both those guys, as I said, will be in the Pro Bowl. Let's hear from Sam Darnold talking about facing that Lions defense.
Obviously, another great opportunity this week. Going to be a fun one in Detroit against a really good team. Really good defense. They fly around. Obviously, really good scheme, really good coaching, and really good players to be able to match that scheme. And yeah, just watching their tape, man, they fly around. Really fun defense to watch, and so it's going to be a really good challenge for us this week. They don't look too different. I mean, just a couple injuries, obviously. But other than that, I mean, they play with the same tenacity, same type of energy that they've played with all year. Yeah, I feel like I continue to grow. But again, this is a new week, new opportunity, a lot of, just a ton of new ways to grow as a player for me. So I'm just going to continue to stay with my routine and stay with the process and just continue to take it one day at a time.
We're going to hear from some more Vikings, hear from Dan Campbell and Jared Goff from the Lions' perspective. Look at some of those highlights from that Week 7 matchup. But first, let's talk about our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers. There are trucks. Then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and, of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck. GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your Select Minnesota GMC dealers. Stop by and choose from our wide selection of colors, models, and trim levels. Our friendly sales professionals are ready to work with you so you drive home happy with not just any deal, the deal. So come take a test drive today. We are professional-grade GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR on 2024 GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your Select Minnesota GMC dealers today. Length of contract limited. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 2/3/25. Let's go back to that exciting Week 7 game at U.S. Bank Stadium. Vikings and Lions, won by the Lions by 2 points. And Vikings started the game with a bang with this great 34-yard touchdown run by Aaron Jones.
They got to keep putting the ball in the air downfield. Off he goes, Aaron Jones. And what a lightning strike for the Vikings!
Got off to a quick lead. Lions rallied in the second quarter. And here's a part of Jahmyr Gibbs, what we talked about. Got to be concerned about him. This was a 45-yard touchdown run.
Brock Wright lined up as the fullback. Off the right, here's Gibbs. Good run, best run, good move. There he goes, needs a block. He's in. Jahmyr Gibbs answers back for Detroit.
That offensive line of Detroit, one of the best in the league, one of the very best in the league, led by Frank Ragnow, the Chanhassen, Minnesota native, and Penei Sewell. Both those guys, Pro Bowl players. It's going to be a challenge for the Vikings to get the kind of pressure they need to get on Goff in this game. Here, Goff is throwing a 35-yard touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown.
7 guys up at the line of scrimmage. They're showing cover 0. Now it's just a question who drops and who comes.
They bring 6, they drop 1. Launching Goff over the top for St. Brown. And Detroit, after trailing by 10, has taken the lead.
So good. He's so good, Jeff.
Yeah, he's so accurate, and great route by St. Brown. He beat the Vikings Pro Bowl corner, Byron Murphy, on that play.
Mm-hmm.
Again, same game. Sam Darnold hits Justin Jefferson. Talk about Pro Bowl caliber receivers.
3rd and long for Darnold, taking a shot for Jefferson!
Again, back and forth this game went. And ultimately, as we said, the Lions put it away with that field goal at the end. Couple cool plays from the Lions last week, or at least one cool play was against the 49ers. You gotta love the creativity of Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell. Here's the old hook and ladder play for a touchdown with Williams and St. Brown teaming up.
Goff. Here's a little lateral to Williams, and he's down the sideline and gone for a touchdown.
Looked like almost a block in the back there, but just giving the Vikings and Brian Flores one more thing to think about as he's going through practice this week. You got to watch for anything with these guys. Jet sweeps, hook and ladders.
They'll go for it on 4th and whatever.
They'll go for 4th all the time.
Right.
Yeah, it's certainly a wild offense and a fun offense to watch, except when they're putting 40 up on you, I guess.
Right.
Kirby Joseph, here's a play, and I talked about their 2 safeties, Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, that one of the strengths of their defense, especially with all the injuries they've had up front. And I've been very critical of Joseph. I think he's a cheap shotter. He took Hawkinson out last year with that low hit that caused the ACL tear. TJ missed the game here in week 7, so he's coming back. I'm sure he will have his head on a swivel watching for Kirby Joseph and making sure he doesn't get hit like that again. But hopefully those kind of things don't happen in this game. But Kirby Joseph has 9 interceptions this year to lead the NFL, and here was his second of the game last week against San Francisco and Brock Purdy.
Are inexcusable, quite honestly.
Play action from Purdy. This is picked. That's Joseph again. His 2nd of the night, his 9th of the year.
So that helped the Lions put away the Niners in that game and get to 14-2, equal to the Vikings. And here we go, the big game coming up. Let's hear from some of the Viking players. And on defense, Blake Cashman talked about the game and the meaning.
Definitely. Honestly, I think I saw something online where it's like the highest stakes regular season game in NFL history. But I'm a big believer in not making a game bigger than it needs to be. You still gotta prepare the way you prepare and work the way you work. But this is an important game. This is for the North, for that number 1 seed, and we talk about it from day one here in this building as protecting the North and owning the division. Well, I think just having 2 healthy linebackers and IP and I can definitely help us in the run game. But it takes all 11 of us out there defensively, and I think at this point in the year, both teams obviously are already very familiar, but everything we do is out there on tape. So it just comes down to play style and being detailed in your scheme.
As we said, turnovers are going to be so important in this game. The Vikings, they're going to have to match the Lions. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see them stopping them. That offense is just too good. And so they got to hang with them and hope that they can force a turnover, get a takeaway that can turn the game. Byron Murphy, as we talked about, Pro Bowl season, got beat on that one play by St. Brown we saw, but he's had an excellent season. He's going to be a highly sought free agent. The Vikings, I'm sure, are going to make a big effort to get him re-signed. Probably going to cost them in the neighborhood of $18 to $20 million a year to do it. Ooh. But he's a really good player. If you got corners that are that good, you got to find a way to keep him. He's a young guy, still at 26. And he was talking this week about the energy in the building.
I just feel like the energy is just up right now. I feel like everyone's just locked in. Obviously, like I just said, we just know what type of week this is, so I feel like all the confidence levels should be there, all the, the energy, like I just said, everything's at a high level right now. I would just say, obviously they got a good backfield, obviously got skilled players as well, and then obviously Jared Goff's playing at a high level as well. But the biggest thing is explosive playness, is, the running back getting the ball, quick on the, quick on the flats and then making big time plays down the field. Number 9, he's making vertical routes down the field, he's a speed guy, and then St. Brown is another guy you got to just worry about because he's always, he's our guy on third down. He's our, their main target getter. So he just got a lot of weapons. We just got to go stop him.
You got to go stop him. That's going to be the key. Dan Campbell from the opposing viewpoint in Detroit, and he's got a lot of respect for the Vikings.
It's to reload and go back to work and execute this plan that we have for these guys, and find a way to get some takeaways and make plays. I mean, it's really that simple, and we came up with 2 critical takeaways in that game that were big for us. So, as with anything, are there things we want to clean up? Yeah, but AG's got a good plan. Guys will be ready for this. We know the challenge. I mean, we just talked about it. I mean, quarterback's playing at a high level. And you got Jefferson over there. Addison's playing well. Naylor's making some plays. Hawkinson, now that he's back, is making some plays. It's a solid offensive line, smart crew. They do a good job up front, play hard. And you got Jones in the backfield who he can run it. He's also good out of the backfield as a receiver. So, I mean, we know we got our hands full, but there again is something we look forward to. These are the type of challenges you want. This is what you do it for.
And Jared Goff, and I have a lot of respect for Jared Goff, and kind of an afterthought in the Stafford for Goff trade with a bunch of more draft choices coming to the Lions, and all of a sudden a guy who was supposed to be a bridge quarterback to a rookie someday has turned into one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Pro Bowl quarterback, one of the top-rated guys, and so accurate, playing so well. He's great in the community in Detroit. It's hard to dislike this guy,
right?
But the Vikings have to find a way to pressure him in this game and get after him, get him on the ground, force him to hurry some throws, get him off his spot. If he just is in rhythm, it's going to be a long night for the Purple, but Goff talked about facing the Vikings defense.
Their defense is challenging. I thought, we did a good job of being efficient, staying on schedule, running it well, taking the ball where they're leaving places open, and just taking good care of it. They're good at forcing turnovers, and we're aware of that. And so we just got to make sure we continue to do that.
So as we go forward here, and we're going to talk about a few games around the league. It's not a real terrific league schedule other than this Vikings and Lions game.
Right.
But we also want to hear from our great sponsor, the Select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers.
There are trucks, then there's the truck, GMC Sierra, with available features like the V8 engine, the ultimate luxury interior, and of course, the available world's first 6-function multi-pro tailgate. GMC Sierra, not just any truck, the truck.
GMC's continued commitment to professional-grade engineering is on full display at your local GMC dealer. Come take a test drive today and see for yourself. We are professional grade. GMC. Well-qualified buyers get 0% APR for 36 months on GMC Sierra light-duty models. See your local GMC dealer today. Monthly payment is $28.16 for every $1,000 you finance. Average example down payment 15%. Some customers will not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
A couple other keys that I see in this game. We've already talked about being able to run it, being able to get the ball to the playmakers on offense, pressuring Jared Goff, trying to stop Jahmyr Gibbs for the defense. I think protecting Darnold is going to be critical, even though the Lions are not a great pass rushing team with so many of their key guys down. But what they do is they send a lot of blitzes, and we've seen the Vikings have had some difficulty handling that delayed linebacker blitz, and that's what hurt them against Detroit last time. 3 of the 4 sacks by the Lions were by their linebackers on blitzes. So Aaron Glenn's going to come. He's one of the highest blitzing defensive coordinators in the league, just like Brian Flores is. And so you can expect that Darnold's going to face some pressure, but he's been really good against the blitz, especially recently. He's on Sam Darnold on a tear his last 7 games, 18 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. If he can continue that kind of play, the Vikings will definitely have a good chance to win this game. The kicking game is always going to be key. We see Khalif Raymond. It looks like he's coming back. He's one of the top returners for the Lions. He's been on injured reserve, back at practice this week. Mentioned Anzalone, that they were starting middle linebacker. Looks like he's coming back. The Lions getting a little healthier, but they're still missing so many guys on defense. The kicking game, as I said, Will Reichard missed a couple kicks last week, and a little bit of a concern that he's got to get back to his kind of perfect mode that we saw him in for the first 7-8 weeks of the season before he had that quad injury. Right. And of course, one of his misses last week was from 57, and one of his misses was he hit the upright, but got to be able to capitalize when you have opportunities. So he's going to be an important guy against Detroit and on into the playoffs. So, okay, Sam, I'm going to let you go first this week with your pick of the big game of the year in the NFL, Vikings at the Lions with everything on the line.
Oh, Jeff, why do you have to set the table like that? No, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think you're right. The only way to beat Detroit is to outscore Detroit. On the road, that's an incredibly tough task to ask. I mean, you can see that the Vikings struggled to do that at home against Detroit. Look, I hate going against the Vikings, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this one. I certainly hope they don't get me wrong. The score I had written down was 37-34. And honestly, Jeff, it could go either way, but I'm sticking with that score. So whoever the winning team is will put up 37. That's what I got.
Okay, well, you're kind of reading my mind again.
As always.
As always, we're kind of on the same page. And my thing is, and the Lions have lost 2 games at home this year. They lost to Tampa Bay early in the season, and they got beat by Buffalo in, I think it was week 15, 48-42 in that game. And that may be the kind of points the Vikings need to score to win this game. But I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. We know they're both going to be highly motivated to get that 1 seed, win the division. Vikings are the healthier team, have the advantage of the Lions playing on a short week. But the Lions have won 4 straight against the Vikings. And my thing is, until the Vikings prove they can beat them, I have a hard time picking them. I know they're certainly capable of winning this game, but I'm going to pick Detroit. And you said 37-34?
I did.
I'm saying 38-34.
Okay.
So we are very close, although you didn't really tell me who you think is going to win. You kind of said Detroit, but
what?
you said whoever gets to 37. Well, but I think from what I heard, you sound like you're thinking Detroit, and I'm thinking the same thing. And, hey, I was wrong early in the season when I picked the 49ers to beat the Vikings, when I picked Green Bay to beat the Vikings in Green Bay. So, hey, It can certainly happen either way, and I just think it's going to be a game that goes down to the wire. It might be one of those games whoever gets the ball last, but it's going to be exciting. I think the national TV audience will be very happy that this was the game on Sunday night for the last game of the regular season.
Yep.
And then when we come back on Monday for our Lions reaction show, we will know if the Vikings have the week off or if they're getting ready to face the Rams, Tampa Bay in the playoffs. So, as we said, it's going to be an exciting Sunday night. And this has been Jeff Diamond's Purple Report, brought to you every Monday and Thursday during the Viking season by your select Minnesota Buick GMC dealers and the 2024 GMC Sierra on 1500 ESPN, available 24/7 on YouTube via links from the 1500 ESPN and Score North websites. This is Jeff Diamond with Sam Bird, and we will talk to you Monday after the epic Vikings-Lions game.